Mutation X time, all right? Mutation X, if you want to chuck big clouds, this is it, all right? This is already drilled out for you. A ton of holes in this thing. It's got 9 airflow holes on either side, on the slant, on the vortex seal side, so you can get that little spin going with your airflow like all the cloud chasers are doing. It's almost too much airflow. It's almost too much. I built a .07 on this thing, and I almost want to close it off a bit because it feels like it makes my clouds a little wispy. You know, it's just slightly too much. But yeah, if you build like .2s, this is probably not the Addy for you. But at the same time, I feel like if you build under .1, it might not be the Addy for you either, because it really heats up a lot. Like, I don't really dig it. I don't really dig this one. I don't know. I had high hopes. I had really high hopes for it. A lot of people have been talking about it, going Mutation X, Mutation X. That's what you need for clouds. But yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't recommend it. I find when I'm hitting it at low res and I take like 6 good pulls, it gets so friggin' hot. Like, it burns my lips. Like when I tailpipe it, and even when I use the drip tip that it comes with, let me find it. The drip tip is really cool and it's super wide bore, but it's thin and it actually absorbs some of the heat as well. So yeah, I don't know about this one, man. I'm going to try it with the drip tip. I'll open it wide open again. Yeah, it pushes clouds, but it really takes away from the flavor. That chamber's really, really big. The drip tip is kind of loose. Like, it's just not like super awesome. Like, it's jiggly, and the cap comes off like super easy. I don't like it. It twists. Like when I'm doing stuff or I have it in my pocket, I always have to make sure that the airflow is lined up before I hit it. And you don't want to have to do that every time. It is affordable. It's fairly cheap. But either way, let's, take a look at it. I'll build it, and then we'll come back and have another chuck off of it. All right? Let's do it. Going in. All right, so here it is, the Mutation X, made by Indulgence. This is the box that it comes in. It's got your China technology written, Alibaba, where to get it, all that good stuff on here, okay? So it's a box very much like you'd get like an Agate, stuff like that, and a lot of the UD stuff, all right, would come in a box like this, okay? Little writing on here says Mutation X. It says it's got, all the info about it is written on here, and it's got some spare parts on the other side. So it comes with a bag in here. It comes with a bunch of cool stuff, okay? I dig when you get a bag of stuff like this, okay? It's got 3 spare screws, 3 spare O-rings, and another little blue screwdriver for me to collect, okay? Putting that back in here, let's take a look at the RDA itself. Pull it out with this little tab. Maybe it's kind of stuck in there a little bit, but it comes out of there, okay? It's got big-ass holes in it, all right? It's got... check this out, man. How big are these things? Where's that screwdriver? Probably 2 mil holes in this. 5/64 type holes. Let me just double check. Actually, they're a little bit smaller. They might be like 16th holes, something like that. Either way, they are sufficient, all right? Very nice holes in this guy. Comes apart. It's got your heat fins on it. The bottom of it says Mutation X. Has your serial number and adjustable 510 connection on it, all right? There's no logo on the side of this thing, just a ton of airflow. 9 holes on this side and 9 holes on the other. The top of it looks a lot like the Tobe, okay? They look pretty much identical, all right? Almost exactly the same. I don't know, do they fit one another? I don't think they do. For some reason, I don't think they do. I think I've tried this before and they don't. Now, the Tobe one is a little bit bigger, okay? Or the sleeve is, you know, a little bit bigger on this one or the other. Yeah, while I had that Tobe out, might as well hit it, okay? The airflow adjustment comes from these big tabs that are on this, on the top cap, okay? Single O-ring holds this thing together. These retain a lot of heat. When I vape this thing and you got a low-res build going in here, the sleeve of this thing's going to get really hot, and so are these tabs. They're going to take in so much heat that these fins really don't do a ton for it. And I've actually tailpiped this a bunch of times and burnt my lips on it, okay? It does get really hot. Like, those fins do not do a ton for it, okay? So keep that in mind. It's got the conical shape in here that's really, really nice. Like, a lot of Addies have that conical flavor shape to it, and trust me, you're gonna need it with this Addy because there's a lot of room in there. There's a lot of room, and if you're running this wide open, it is going to be pretty flavorless, okay, to be perfectly honest with you. A lot of times I've found you need to close off, you know, at least 3 of those holes, you know, to get a decent draw. And I've closed as much as, you know, half of that middle section too. So I'm just running like half airflow, and I run pretty low builds, okay? I ran a 0.06 ohm build in this, a parallel build in this, and I was running it about, you know, 6 holes, okay? Once I had it all the way open, my clouds were really wispy. Like, they weren't dense at all. It takes away from your density quite a bit when you run this thing wide open. So you do need to tune it back, okay? Let me take this thing apart. The O-rings on this thing are not that good, you know? Like, you really can't hold it by the sleeve if it's attached to your mod, because it just kind of falls off, especially if you got juice on here. I actually just swapped these out with the replacements that are in the bag, and I'm trying those out, you know? Hopefully they're a little bit tighter, but it really does not grip too well. It's not like it's brutally loose, but it's, you know, fairly loose, okay? Like, a lot of Addies, you can't pull apart with your fingers, and I'm doing it right now, okay? Bottom of the sleeve is a little bit bigger than the top. It's actually machined out a little bit. Now maybe the Tobe top fits on the bottom. Let's try that. Yeah, if you're running it upside down, you could fit a Tobe top cap on there, but you can't fit it right side up, okay? So I wouldn't be able to use my chuff enough on this either, all right? Which kind of bums me out, but what are you gonna do, okay? Taking out a mod here. Take a look at this deck, okay? So same thing here as the Tobe, right? The negative posts are machined into the deck. The machining looks okay. Looks decent, you know? It's not amazing, but it's not crap either, you know? It's decent, right? It's pretty clean. It's not very sharp. Like, the deck feels good, okay? It feels really nice. The holes in this thing are massive. Like, how big did it say these holes are? Okay, the negative posts have 2 millimeter holes in it. Okay, the center post has a 2.5 millimeter hole in it. Like, you could pretty much run any twisted mess in this that you want. Okay, everything will fit into those holes. I guarantee it. All right, but one thing that's kind of weirding me out is, you kind of have to run this thing low res. Like, if you're into building 0.3 ohm coils, you're really not utilizing this thing. And like I said, I did a build that was like 0.07 or 0.06 on this thing, and I had some of these airflow holes closed, okay? Now, when I was running it, my center post just cooked so hard that it kind of went brownish. Like it's got this soot built up on it. Now, that could be from the juice that I was vaping it in, but I don't get that on other center posts that I run. So that's kind of freaks me out. Like it makes me wonder what the material of the center post is and why it's doing that. All right. The insulator in this is not anything super special, really, from what I've found. And it almost freaks me out to kind of run super low res builds on this because I just feel like I will melt it, you know? I just feel that way. If you've melted one, let me know. If it's worked really good at like, you know, super, super low, then let me know, man. I'd really like to know, okay? But it is solid. The deck on this, like the lip of this thing is huge. It's super thick, so it does retain a lot of heat. It really does retain a lot of heat. This Addy gets super warm, and with the sleeve kind of being this thin on the bottom, it just draws all the heat from the deck and pushes it up, okay? And then it just lures into these big, huge tabs, and I burn my lips on it. Really, I don't dig this Addy a lot. Like, yeah, the airflow is cool, but anyone can drill this into a tobe if you really want to, or take it to a shop that drills it, and they'll do it, and you'll get a better vape, man. But you know what? It's, you know, about half or a third of the price of a tobe, okay? So there's that. Let's build this thing. I'm going to do a build. I've got a piece of Kanthal, okay? Now this is triple twisted 26 gauge Kanthal wire, okay? So I got 3 pieces. I pulled them together, I put them into the drill, and I put them all parallel to one another and started twisting it. So it ends up being a really nice piece of twisted wire. So let's wrap it up. I'm going to put it on the 2.4 millimeter screwdriver, which is the equivalent of a 5/64, okay? Now, it ends up being about the thickness of a 20 gauge wire. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it like I would a 20 gauge wire with about 4 wraps in it. If I do 4 wraps, that should give me around a 0.1, maybe a little bit less. We'll see how it works out. Okay, and we'll chuck that down. Bad mod. Okay, now I don't even know if I need to back these out anymore because you know what? I can just smash into these. They're huge holes. Like an old hooker hole. Put this in here. Dial it into where you want. Oh, just going to get that center one kind of close. And tighten that one up. And then I can kind of push the other one wherever I want it. And the holes are so big that when you do continuous strand or you do smaller wire, the wire does not want to capture underneath it clean. Like it kind of wants to push over to a side, and I've found that sometimes these screws kind of cock over because they're just hitting it kind of on a weird angle too. So yeah, I don't know how awesome this thing really is, but it does cloud. It's kind of flavorless for me. Like, here we go. Hopefully I can capture that right underneath it and it'll be clean. But no, it's kind of going in crooked, like that screw goes in crooked. You see that? Like, that's kind of whack. It's pretty whack, man. Push that over. All right, should we try and check the resistance on this right now? Okay, that's still going to screw down a bit. How about this janky one? All right, that's a good connection. All right, let me check the res. Maybe this USA ohm reader will work right now. All right. So it's 0.14 right now. Okay, very good. So it will come down to about 0.07, which is, you know, pretty good for this dripper. You could build a lower than that, and I'm sure it would work. I don't really trust that, you know, positive insulator. Just something about it. It just kind of freaks me out, man. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Let me dry fire this on something here. Take that tobe off. All right. There we go. Twisted wire a lot of the times gets hot leg. You kind of got to pulse it, warm it up, work that heat through it, pinch it up. Man, I got to clean this button. It's starting to jam up a bit. Damn copper. I'm pulsing and pinching because I'm using ceramic tweezers, and on twisted builds I feel pretty good that my coils won't pop. But if I was doing a royal wire or G-plat build or some fine wire like 28 gauge, I'd be afraid to pop my coils using this pulsing and pinching. Just give that one more squeeze. Then I'm going to let it cool, and then I can wrap the other one. All right? Let's take a look-see here. Where's the top of this thing? So those airflow holes are going to line up pretty much just hitting the bottom, center, and top of that coil. Okay? There's going to be airflow all the way around this thing. So that's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool for sure. Ooh, it's still a bit hot. I want to wait for a minute here. Right back. Alright, so how to vape. What I did was I switched it back to this mod because I don't want to auto fire when I'm pushing down and building the other side of this. Okay, so it should be cooled down enough by this point. It's been about 2 minutes that I can kind of wrap this other side. Okay, so we're going to do 4 wraps again. There's my first, second, there's the third going on, and the fourth one is coming around. So now we can just slip that through that post. Okay, try and twist this around, maybe you can see it, and push that in. Okay, same rule applies when building continuous strand. These continuous strand builds, you want to have that nice and looped so that way you don't kink it when you pull it around. Okay, I always tuck my fingernail into that last wrap, and then that way it doesn't overlap, right? Then give that a good tug, and then she's in there. All right, now you can kind of situate that where you want. I go to the other side, and then I just push that coil together and get this leg kind of looking in close and pushed in like the other side to make that a true 4 wrap all the way around. Okay, jam that in there. We got ourselves a dual coil. Okay, I'm going to tighten this other connection up. We're going to be off to the races. Now this thing should be coming in around, you know, 0.8-ish, something like that. I'm going to snug that up. Yeah, and this one's kind of cocked too. Okay, can you see that screw right there? Is a little bit cocked. I don't really dig that about this Addy. Alright, so that's looking pretty symmetrical. We can dry fire this one up. We can check it on the resistance right now, but I think I'm going to wait. I feel pretty good about it not having a short at this moment, okay? But I got to take it off to put it on a different mod again. Man, there's a whole lot of mod switching going on in this video. Mutation X, eh? Cool idea. Like, I think it's a really cool idea. There's a short, man. Saw the leg kind of heating up at the positive pin, which is a good indicator of a short. That one's just screwing so much, man. That's weird. There we go. Pulsing and pinching with the ceramic tweezers. Let's switch this one over a bit. Pinch it from this side. Oh yeah, that should be good, man. The height might be a little bit off, is it? That's close. This one can kind of come down, I think. Bring that one down a bit. I'm going to tilt this one too. Kind of get it straight, nice and horizontal. Alright. Try and fire this again, see where we're at. That's looking good. Alright, we should swap batteries on this thing because this guy's getting a little tired. Alright. With twisted wire, or if I have a lot of wire, I check my connections a lot. I just do that anyway. This one's kind of heating up funny, so I'm just going to rake this out. And I'll rake this side too while I'm at it. There we go. Very nice. Perfect. Alright, I'm going to let this cool a little bit here. Then we'll check the resistance again. Alright. Wonder if I could take this off with these tweezers, because it's going to be hot. Man, this thing really cooks. Yeah, it retains a lot of heat, this thing. I don't even want to screw this down. Yeah, it's too hot. Give it a minute. I'll be right back. Alright, so I've let this thing cool for about, 3 or 4 minutes now. And it's, getting a decent reading right now. It's 0.07, fluttering in around 0.075-ish, okay? In between 0.07 and 0.08, okay? Once I hit this for a little bit, it'll probably come up around 0.08, and I'm pretty content vaping that. For a lot of people, it might be too low, all right? But man, this thing holds a lot of heat. Like, this deck stays warm for a long time. Like, yeah, going on 4 minutes, and it's, still a little bit warm. Just weird, man. Just weird. Is this made out of 304 stainless, or what is this made out of? It's so thick that it retains that much, man. It's crazy. Crazy. What am I going to wick here? Maybe I've got some Rayon. I'd like to try Rayon with this guy. If I got some in here, I do have a loose piece. Cool. Okay, so piece of Rayon. Find the end. And I'm just going to pull a piece off, and we're going to use that, okay? It's been a while since I wicked with Rayon, and I've kind of been, digging organic cotton lately, and I haven't really been digging the the CelluCotton, but hey, I'll give it another whirl and see what I think, okay? Just going to pull it back a little bit and get any chunkies out of it. All right. Now I'm going to separate it and get myself a piece. Now the best way to wick with the Rayon is wick light. You know, if you wick too much, it's going to clog your coil up and it's just kind of going to taste nasty. All right. So under wick, like wick less than you normally would with the Rayon. All right. Now, I'm just going to roll this out just a bit. Pick up some lint from the table. No big deal. We'll vape that too. All right. I'm going to pull that apart. That's going to become our wick. Looking pretty fluffy. I like it nice and fluffy. I just get better airflow from it, right? Okay. I'm going to tune that in if I can. There we go. Now, let's dial some wick up in here. I'd like to get a bit of wick underneath this coil. Now, the reason why I want to do that is because I want to close off this huge chamber a little bit, okay? Now, if I can close it off a bit, that means I might get a little more flavor out of this thing because it does have a huge chamber and it really does lack in flavor when you get it going. And you really have to close off the airflow to get a decent flavor in this thing. It's just kind of mind boggles me because it looks a lot like the Taube, but the Taube just performs, you know, so much better. Like the flavor is so much better. You know, sorry to Indulgence or whoever makes this, but it's just not that awesome in my opinion. But that's just me, you know, one person's opinion. Like, who am I, right? Some idiot on YouTube, man, just like the rest of us, you know? Some dude making videos at his house. Lint balls on his cotton. Alright, pull that through as well. I don't want to choke it out. I want to be able to move that through there pretty freely, alright? Now, let me find something here to poke at this thing with. Okay, so what I want to do is, on the tighter side, where my coil is closest to, I'm going to pull that side over. I'm going to get the wick underneath. Okay, push that in there. Make sure there's a bit in there. But I don't want it closed off. I don't want to choke out the left side of this either. So I want it to easily push in. Okay. I'm just going to fluff that up a little bit. Bam. That side's done. All right. I'm going to trim that off to the edge of the deck, just like so. All right. Now I can tuck this in. And this is a lot of cotton, man. This is a lot of cotton, but like I said, I'm trying to close the airflow. I'm trying to close off the chamber, not the airflow, a little bit. Like air is going to run through this cotton, but it's going to reduce the chamber, okay, a little bit, all right? Same thing goes on this side. I'm going to pull this in. I'm going to tuck it under, just like the other side. Leave a little tuft, a little ball on this side. Beautiful. And puff that a little bit, just to keep the juice flowing through this. The Rayon's weird. If you have little, you know, tight spots in it, it'll give you a funny taste. I don't know. Maybe you guys know what I'm talking about if you've wicked with Rayon. Gives you a bit of a weird taste once it blocks off. Cut that out. Cut it out. Man, I got straggler hairs everywhere. All right, tuck that in. Same thing. right? Bring this into the frame. There it is. That's it, you know? It's all you really need to do. I'll try and push a little bit of that cotton underneath that coil. Okay? How's that looking? That will work. Okay? It will work. All right? What am I going to put on this thing right now? Custard. That's a flavoring, but it's not the flavoring, obviously. This is a fruity custard. My buddy Cody on our Facebook group, he has a cloud chasing juice that he uses, the flavor that it is. And my custard is that flavor. If you're on the Facebook group, you might know what I'm talking about. But this is my fruity for Cody custard that I've been playing around with just to see what it's like. Not so sure. This is kind of my first day vaping on it, so. But I'm going to test it out. All right. So that looks fairly juiced up. Yeah, this thing needs a fresh battery like you wouldn't believe. This thing's hitting at about like 3.6, 3.5 right now. I'm going to swap that out. We'll come out and have a vape off this bad boy, all right? Put that on. One more thing I'm going to show you before we take it out, okay? The way I run this, if I'm running this wide open, is these tabs I put to the inside. Okay, if you're adjusting your airflow, usually you'll do it like this and close it up from the top down, but I run it over here. And the reason why I do that is because then those tabs are further away from your coils. Okay, so when you have your tabs down, they're like this. Okay, and then it doesn't get as hot as if they were, you know, much closer to those posts and all that stuff. All right, so you can try that out too if you like. I dig it, all right? So putting this thing back together, close it up, and we should be able to have a hit off of it. Yeah, this thing still moves a ton, like way too easily. Yeah, not really digging the O-rings. Let's have a vape, see how she hits. All right, so here it is. Kind of a bummer, you know. I didn't really dig how those negative screws go down and go cocked on an angle. Hopefully that's just mine, you know. Hopefully they're not all like that, because if they are, that really sucks. The sleeve itself is kind of like, there's no way you could hold this by the top. Like, it's really, really loose. Sometimes when I go and grab it, I'll twist it by accident, and every time I go to vape this, I have to make sure that the airflow holes are lined up. It's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer for sure. It's a cool idea. It's a cool idea. I feel like these holes are just one size too big. Like if they were a little bit smaller, you could have the same amount of holes. There would be more restriction to your draw, and you'd get denser, thicker clouds when you vaped it. You do blow big clouds, but once you chuck them and they're like a couple few feet out, they become a little wispy. You know what I mean? They're just kind of a little airy. I don't really dig it. And then you got to close off, you know, a bunch of the holes, which, you know, you shouldn't need to do that. Like I built a .07 build. I should be able to open this wide open and let it rock, you know? Because, you know, there's a lot of people who build .05s, right? But, you know, to have to do that, it is what it is. It might be good on a box mod. Like it might be good if you could put a 0.2, 0.3 ohm build in it, rock it on a parallel battery box mod. It might perform well for you, you know? Maybe it wouldn't get as hot, you know, maybe. But, you know, 18650 mech mod, it's just not all that good. Like it's not all that good. It's really hyped. I had super high hopes for it, and was kind of let down when I got it. One more chalk off this guy. and it gets hot. Like it transfers heat, and the heat sinks don't feel like they do that much for me because of that, you know, really big tabs on it. I feel that it just draws a lot of heat from this sleeve, and then just it goes to your lips. Sometimes when I'm chain vaping it gets hot and I really have to pull back, and I'm used to tailpiping. Like I tailpipe a lot of stuff, so you know I've got a method and everything, right? But not really digging it, not really liking it that much. The insulator in it, I've had insulators like this in other Addies and Addy clones and stuff like that, and they've melted. They're those little white ones, and they're kind of hard and rigid. When you put enough heat to them, they start to kind of curl over, and then they kind of go brownish. Then your wick like your cotton starts to get glued to it, and then before you know it, it's just gone. So there's that. And by the darkness of the center post that you saw up close, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and this is only like my third build on it. Okay, so kind of a bummer about that. I did do a 22 gauge G-plat parallel dual coil setup in this, and it was hot. Like it scorched, you know, the inside of this cap, and you could not vape it. This build is a little bit better, but you know, it's still not that good. I just feel like it's not, you know, a happy medium, you know? It's just not. Maybe someone's running this with a decent build, they're happy with it, but I feel like it makes the clouds a bit wispy. I got this from Vape Dominion, and they're located in Mississauga, which is about an hour and a half away from me. Maybe a little over an hour away from me, and their shipping was killer. Like I ordered it on a Sunday, and it was here on Tuesday. So, you know, next day delivery, pretty badass, you know, very, very cool. And yeah, it's, you know, it's something that people want to try. Yeah, maybe better on a box mod, but still, just the design of it, the O-rings are loose, and just, yeah, it's got flaws. It's definitely got flaws. Sorry, you know, I couldn't give you a better review. Maybe the review was good, but just kind of, you know, not the greatest product to be reviewing. Yeah, if they did another one, slightly smaller chamber, have the holes just one drill bit size smaller, cut those tabs out, use a different type of airflow adjustment, it could be a really good Addy. Like it has a promising future, but this one just, it is what it is, right? So I'm going to cut out of here. It's been cool. Thanks for chilling out. Hopefully you dug it, you know? And if you have one of these and you really like it, or you've done something or modified it to make it great, let me know in the comments below, you know? Because if the insulator, though, if it melts on me, I'm probably not going to try and replace it. It's just going to get chucked. So, yeah, there's that. It's kind of disappointing, really. But anyway, thanks for chilling out. I'm going to cut out of here. Like I always say, guys, butt out, vape up, and breathe easy. Know your limits and vape within it, and you are going to have a stellar day, my friends. Cutting out.